Here I go, here I go, here I go. Yeah, here I go, here I go.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of The Take. I'm your host, Jackson Burleson, of course. And in today's episode, football is back, ladies and gentlemen. It is finally here. Let's go. Let's go, dude. Football is finally back. It's been literally the longest wait ever. I've been waiting for football for forever. Okay. So we're going to get right into it here. We're not going to fool around. We're not going to dance around about the NFL stuff. So before we get into this pod, subscribe, like the video, and also comment what you guys have prediction-wise for the NFL season, because I'm going to be doing a bunch of division picks, and I'm going to be deciding who will win versus Ravens and Chiefs on Thursday Night Football. But before we get into everything related to the NFL and things like that, I do want to bring up something real quick. Florida State, my Florida State team is trash. We're out of the AP poll. We were a top 10 team. We're the first top 10 team to drop out of the week 1 poll since 2008. That was Clemson. So, season's over. It's very devastating. And, there's a lot of coaches that are upset with their team. And we'll play our play of the week. This is a segment we do every single week here on the Take podcast. And let's just say this play of the week this week is nuts. We have an outstanding catch for you guys. And I want you to see this catch for yourself. So take a look. This was USC versus LSU on Sunday in Las Vegas for the Modelo Classic. So check it out.
Bigger than that. He made a big block there. Moss buys a little time. Puts it into traffic. Did he pull that down? Kyron Hudson. Oh, my goodness, what a catch. What a play. That's just a one hand. Kidding? Let me throw my hand up and give it a shot. That's between two defenders. Then if they loses the ball, I'm sure they're going to take a look at that.
That was wild. You guys want to know something crazy? He had 85 yards in that game. Last year, he had 173. So basically, he had half of his stats, Kyron Hudson, that he did in this one game than he did all of last season. So, props to him. And USC had a big win. They won 27-20 against LSU. And Miller Moss was balling. I mean, he threw for 329 yards. And then USC had the game-winning touchdown at the end of the game with the run. And then they got the game-winning pick. But, LSU, I thought LSU was going to win this game. USC went up 10 spots in the poll this week after this win. And head coach of LSU, Brian Kelly, he was not happy at all.
And we're sitting here again. We're sitting here again talking about the same things. About not finishing when you have an opponent in a position to put them away. But what we're doing on the sideline is feeling like the game's over. And I'm so angry about it that I got to do something about it. I'm not doing a good enough job as a coach. And I got to coach him better, because it's unacceptable for us not to have found a way to win this football game. It's ridiculous.
That was LSU coach Brian Kelly. Yeah, I mean, I feel his pain, because I'm going through the same pain right now with my Florida State Seminoles. So I know what you're talking about. It's frustrating when you see a team that has talent and they just can't make simple plays. They can't tackle. And I was watching that LSU game, and they were struggling to tackle. They were losing wideouts on routes. They were getting cooked, So, Brian Kelly, I feel like he could be on the hot seat if he doesn't turn this season around for LSU, if they don't win their next couple games. But enough of college football. Let's transition into a more serious topic relating to the NFL. Ricky Pearsall gets shot in a robbery attempt last week. He was shot by a 17-year-old male in Tracy, California. The suspect was arrested Saturday, according to San Francisco Police Chief William Scott. So basically, a struggle between Pearsall and the suspect endured gunfire from the suspect's gun. Both struck Pearsall and the subject. So Pearsall was shot. He's the rookie out of Florida that was just drafted 31st overall by the San Francisco 49ers. And, he's so lucky. There were no vital organs that were hit. His life could have been over, and it didn't matter about his NFL career, really. No one really wants to see an NFL player go through that, or any person go through that. So, and he's out of the hospital, but he was listed as serious but stable condition and was upgraded to fair condition. His mother said he is very lucky that the bullet missed vital organs. There is no indication that the suspect targeted Pearsall because he is an NFL player. So they weren't after him because of his status. I think the suspect was after him because of the Rolex he had on his wrist. He was trying to steal that from him. And, it's crazy. Seriously, be safe out in the world. You never know what can really happen. And Deebo Samuel, wide receiver for the 49ers, he tweeted, "He's good, thank God." And, that's crazy. He's only expected to miss like 4 games, which is a miracle. He was already getting injured during training camp, so he kind of was already missing time, and now he's getting another setback. This is not ideal for Ricky Pearsall, obviously. He doesn't want to do that. He was dealing with a shoulder and hamstring injury during camp, so he kind of wasn't able to be a full participant in practice. He was still wearing a blue jersey, which means he's a non-contact practice player, so he can't get hit and whatnot. But, thank God he is okay. And, San Francisco didn't lose a pretty good receiver, I'd say. Ricky Pearsall was really good at Florida. He was a stud, and that's why he was a first-round pick. So really glad he's okay. But we'll go ahead and move on from that story and transition into my Dallas Cowboys. You guys see the flag. You guys see the shirt. And I'm here to say that I am watching the Dallas Cowboys this season. And it didn't occur to me until yesterday when Florida State just had an abysmal performance, and I was watching DJ Uiagalelei just absolutely overthrow and be inaccurate the entire game. So I was like, you know what? I think I'm not going to watch Florida State for the rest of the season because the season's over. So I'll go ahead and watch Dallas because I know they're going to be at least somewhat competitive. CeeDee Lamb is back. And here's what CeeDee had to say about the new contract he got.
How does it feel to finally get the contract out of the way, and what does it mean for you, your family, all that?
Quite honestly, it's still surreal to me. A great moment. Obviously, I'm happy for myself and my family. Appreciate the Jones family. Shout out my agent for getting this done. It was long. It was a process, but we're here now. I'm back home.
He's back home, he said. And he got a $38 million signing bonus, which is the most ever given to a receiver as well. CeeDee Lamb on the Cowboys, we obviously need him. He's our best player. It's not even close. He broke the Cowboys record for catches and yards as a receiver in franchise history last year. So he's a huge part of our offense. And I think CeeDee Lamb's going to have a huge season. I think he could have close to 2,000 yards. I would say this right now. I think CeeDee Lamb can have a season like Cooper Kupp did in 2021 when the Rams won the Super Bowl and he won MVP and he was going crazy in fantasy. I remember I had him in fantasy that year and he was literally a quarterback. Like he was putting up at least 20 points a game in fantasy. That's crazy. And CeeDee Lamb is on my fantasy team this year, which we actually will get into a little bit. We'll review it. I'll let you rate it. But CeeDee Lamb's on my team. I'm happy. I got him with the second overall pick in my draft, but with Michael Gallup retiring and a lot of question marks outside of CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks at the wideout position, CeeDee Lamb's going to have to really step up even more than he did last year. So it's going to be a good season for the Cowboys. I feel like we're a good regular season team. We are. But when it comes to the playoffs, we just can't get it done. That's what I'm wondering we can figure out. Because Dak Prescott wants to get paid and Micah Parsons wants to get paid. Now, do I think moving off of Dak Prescott is a smart decision? It really depends, because if we go to the draft and take Carson Beck, maybe. But are we going to be bad enough to be high enough to pick him in the draft? I don't know. And I definitely don't want Shedeur Sanders as a Dallas Cowboy. I would rather us keep Dak Prescott. If we can't get somebody that is a good young prospect in next year's draft, or if we can't get somebody better than Dak Prescott. Because I'm not a huge Dak Prescott fan, but I mean, the numbers he put up last season were MVP type numbers. They were MVP type numbers. And that's the reality of it. And then Lamar Jackson snagged the MVP with Tyrod Taylor numbers, which made absolutely no sense. But I will give Dak one more chance in my book. I think he's a great quarterback. I just think he gets into his head and he lets the pressure get to him when it comes playoff time. And you guys can see that when he's on the field, he's staring at the twinkle lights, things like that. I don't want to see that. And we have a big test week 1 against the Browns. They have the number 1 ranked defense last year. So this is going to be a test. And our offensive line is going to be put to the test as well, because we lost Tyler DeBazier, okay, and we lost Tyron Smith. We lost 2 key guys. Now, I think our line's still good. We drafted Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. We got Terrence Steele back. He had a torn ACL last season. We still have Zach Martin, who's like a Hall of Fame offensive lineman. We still have a question mark at center, but I think we'll be okay in that regard. So we have a decent offensive line. I'm just worried, since Dak, the weapons around him aren't the greatest. I'm a little concerned about that. But as long as CeeDee Lamb is playing, I mean, I'm not really concerned. Before CeeDee Lamb signed the contract, I was like, man, Cowboys aren't going to go anywhere if we don't have CeeDee Lamb, which is just true. But, you know, when we signed him, I'm like, man, should I watch? Should I watch? And I've like constantly been looking for an excuse to watch, because I don't know. I just feel like I'd be missing out, and I feel like I'd regret, you know, not watching my favorite team, because, you know, football doesn't happen that often. I mean, there's only 18 weeks. You know, if you count the playoffs, there's maybe like 22 weeks if you go to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, you don't have a lot of time to really enjoy football. So I'm going to enjoy this season. I'm not going to get angry with the Cowboys, because there's no point, because I don't play for them. So it doesn't serve me well. It doesn't serve me well. So I'm fine with that. But CeeDee Lamb, 4-year, $160 million. He is signed, sealed, delivered. He's on this Dallas Cowboys roster, and he's on my fantasy football roster. Let's go. Cowboys Nation, we're back. Now, I'm not saying we're going to win the Super Bowl. Okay. I think we're a 10-win team. So I think our floor is 8 wins, because our schedule is decently tough. But I think our ceiling is winning the NFC East. And there hasn't been a repeat NFC East champion in almost 2 decades. So, I mean, I don't know if we're going to go back to back. I didn't think we were going to win a division last year until the Eagles had the collapse they did. So I think Dallas will be okay. I just wonder what happens if Dallas wins 11 games, makes it to the postseason, makes it to the divisional round, and then loses. I don't know what Jerry does from there, because he's getting old. He doesn't have time for a rebuild. Mike McCarthy, he's had multiple 12-win seasons when he's been in Dallas. So I don't even know if you can blame him. But last year, we got rid of Dan Quinn, who literally put up the worst game plan against any offense I've ever seen in a playoff game. We were just blowing man coverage. It was just so weird. It was so weird. But I'll go ahead and move off this Cowboys talk, because I could talk about the Cowboys all day, okay? And we're going to go back to them when we get to our division picks in a little bit. Now, the New England Patriots. Jacoby Brissett was announced as the starting quarterback for the start of the season. Gerard Mayo said that. And I think this is a crazy stat that I'm going to read you guys here. So, Patriot quarterbacks have the 4th worst touchdowns to interception ratio, 4th worst QBR, and 6th fewest passing yards per game since Tom Brady left in 2020. In easy translation, that means the quarterback play has been garbage. That's what that means, basically. And I know Drake May, third overall pick. It's crazy when you say, well, Drake May outplayed Jacoby Brissett, but we're going to start Jacoby Brissett. And when you really dissect that whole situation, you're going, oh, they're doing this because Drake May has a bad team and he's going to fail and his confidence is going to suffer if you put him out there week one. But if you put a veteran player like Jacoby Brissett, who has played for bad teams and has started for bad teams, you can actually get more confidence from the guy. If Brissett plays awful, Drake May can come and save the day. And that is huge for his confidence. Huge for his confidence. And I think Drake May can be a good rookie quarterback. He is mobile. He has a good arm. I mean, in college, he was 23rd out of 128 FBS quarterbacks in scramble rate. So he can run. He can do that. But he also can throw the football. And I think he's going to get an opportunity. I think this is a smart move by the Patriots, surprisingly, because the Patriots, they seem to be in full rebuild mode right now because they dumped Matthew Judon. They got rid of Bill Belichick. I mean, this is what happens when you go on the run that the Patriots did with Tom Brady. 6 Super Bowls. You're going to be garbage after those 6 Super Bowls. That's just the reality of it. But I think the Patriots are in a prime position to do something decent. I mean, their weapons aren't terrible. I mean, they drafted Jalen Polk. They still have Hunter Henry. They also have Demario Douglas, who I've been reading is apparently a fantasy sleeper. So if any of you fantasy guys are listening, check that out. And then Ramondre Stevenson. He's still in the backfield as well. So there's a little bit of potential on the offensive end of the side of the ball. Defensively, I would push back and say they're probably going to be one of the worst defensive teams in football, but I don't know. I mean, Gerard Mayo, he is a defensive player. He was linebacker when he was on the Patriots. So maybe he'll have a defensive philosophy and a good defensive scheme for this Patriots team to even be able to hang. So yeah, I think it was a good decision for the Patriots there. And speaking of decisions, the Steelers made a decision on their quarterback. And here's what Mike Tomlin had to say about the quarterback situation.
After practice, and I informed them that Russ is QB1 going into week 1. It was a difficult decision, but not difficult in a negative way, to be quite honest with you. It was difficult in a positive way. The decision was difficult because of what they're capable of doing. Decision was difficult because of how they have conducted themselves, as opposed to the things that they fall short in.
Honestly, I think that's pretty well said by Mike Tomlin. And I think I know the reason why he went with Russell Wilson. It's because of his leadership and it's because of his experience. Now, I know Justin Fields, he is talented. Don't get me wrong. He's a very talented player. I mean, he can do a lot of things with his legs. He can throw the football. But I think he still needs a little more mentorship. He still was struggling with the fumbles in the preseason, and his reads were still slow. He looked like he was getting better, but I think Russ can come in and demand the guys and get this offense going, because this Steelers offense just doesn't have a lot of experience. They don't. I mean, they've got Najee Harris. He's a young player. Warren, he's a young player. George Pickens, absolute stud, but he's a young player. They lost Deontay Johnson. They got Pat Freiermuth. Now, he's a decent guy. But Russell Wilson, he's a veteran quarterback. He's won a Super Bowl. He's a good player. He's seen everything. He's had really bad seasons, and he's had really good seasons. So there's a lot of players that were saying, he's a strong leader, and they like the experience he brings to the table, and he calms the nerves down, which is important for an offense that's trying to find their identity against the Falcons week 1. Because that's ultimately what you're looking for. It wasn't to force Justin Fields into a starting role right away. And I feel like everybody knew the answer to this decision, like right when they traded for Justin Fields. Because I remember reading an article that they said Mike Tomlin was like, yeah, I think Russ is going to be the starter and Justin Fields is going to be behind him learning. And that's exactly what's happening. But the QB battle started to get, really good. Russell Wilson had that calf injury during training camp, which gave Justin Fields an opportunity to win the job. But I just don't think Mike Tomlin was going to budge either way unless he saw something substantially insane that Justin Fields was doing. And if you're fumbling in the preseason, that's going to hurt your chances. If he didn't turn over the football and do that, I think he could have had an opportunity. But he still can have an opportunity. I mean, I would be willing to bet around week 8 or week 9 that if Russell Wilson is not playing up to standard, Justin Fields will get an opportunity. I think Russell Wilson is going to get a fair shot. I think he's going to get at least a 7 or 8 game stretch where he is the starter. And if they're not winning games, Justin is going to be on the field as quarterback. And apparently Justin Fields is still going to be a part of this offense. He's going to be on the goal line running the football. That's what I've been hearing. So he's still going to be a part of this offense. I don't know about the special teams thing. There were rumors going around that he would be on special teams and he would be a returner. I don't know if you put him in that position because it's a little risky and it's also a huge confidence shaker. Because if you put a quarterback who wants to be a starter in this league and who has been a starter in this league at a returning position on special teams, I feel like that could kill their confidence. And then they just get upset. They get upset. But to be fair, I just think Justin Fields struggled to process information. And I think Russell Wilson is a perfect guy for that. Who knows? Russell's only on a 1-year deal. So Russell could have a mid-season, and then next year Justin Fields can take the starting job. That's a possibility. That is a very high chance. Very high chance of that happening. But the Steelers, I think they have a good team. They have one of the best defenses in the NFL. And their offense is questionable. I will say that. That's the only concern I have with the Steelers team, is their offense. But, I mean, the captain, Russ was named QB captain because Russ could still be a team captain even if he gets benched. That happened to Mitchell Trubisky in 2022 when Kenny Pickett took his starting job and Trubisky still maintained captain. So, the Steelers, I think they got a decent team. Russell Wilson didn't have a bad season last year. His stats are a little bit inflated because a lot of those stats he got were in garbage time. But, I feel like the Broncos just gave up on him too quickly, in my opinion. But they're sitting with a good rookie quarterback, Bo Nix. But, man, I can't believe it. 2 days as I'm recording this until the first game of the NFL season. Ravens versus Chiefs. This is going to be a matchup. I'll tell you that. I cannot wait for this game. I'm so excited to see Lamar Jackson versus Patrick Mahomes in primetime at Arrowhead. This is what I'm excited for. Let's see the additions of Derrick Henry in this backfield with Lamar Jackson. Let's see it. Because they got him for a reason. And he is older, and he is on my fantasy team. But let's see what that combination looks like in this game. Now, the Ravens defense, it's a little bit of a question mark for me, in my opinion. They still have Roquan Smith. They lost Patrick Queen to the Steelers. But, I think this Ravens team is just missing help at the wideout position. They still got Rashad Bateman. They still got Zay Flowers, and then Mark Andrews, which, by the way, Mark Andrews is ready for week 1. He had a car accident, August 14th, and while he was on his way to the Ravens practice facility, and he didn't miss practice due to an injury, so that's a good sign. And one thing to keep an eye on in this Ravens game, Mark Andrews is 2 touchdowns away from breaking the all-time or tying the all-time record for the most receiving touchdowns in Ravens history. He could pass Todd Heap. So keep in mind in that, but I always hear, Lamar Jackson doesn't have weapons. He doesn't have weapons. He doesn't have weapons. I wonder why. And I think this is the biggest issue I have with Lamar Jackson. He tries to be something he's not. He tries to portray himself as a pocket passer last year, but we all know he's not a pocket passer, which is okay. It doesn't have to be you sitting in the pocket throwing the football. This is why you are a special player, because you can run and you can make things happen with your feet. It doesn't have to be in the pocket. That's what makes you so dynamic. And I just think for Lamar Jackson, he needs to get away from trying to force himself to throw the football, because I think that happened too many times last season, and it just came back to bite Baltimore right at the end of the season. Against Kansas City, he did not run the ball, and the Ravens did not run the ball, period. So I expect the Ravens to really hammer the run game and go at this Kansas City Chiefs defensive line and this defense, because that's the way they're going to have to win this game on the road in a tough environment, because Arrowhead is a tough place to play. A tough place to play. And when you got Chris Jones up there, he's a handful to deal with. He's a handful to deal with. Now, the Chiefs did lose Ladarius Sneed at cornerback, but I still think the Chiefs defense can find a way. And even if the Chiefs defense is worse than they were last year, I believe this Chiefs offense is better than they were last year. They got Juju Smith-Schuster back, who's had experience playing with Patrick Mahomes. He's had experience playing with Patrick Mahomes. Then you got Xavier Worthy out of Texas. He is a fast player. They're going to use him very similarly like they did with Tyreek Hill. They will. So I think this Chiefs offense is going to be fine. You got Pacheco in the backfield. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's going to miss 4 games. He's trying to deal with some PTSD issues. Travis Kelce, of course. And then Marquise Hollywood Brown. He will be coming back soon. He had a dislocated shoulder. He's making progress. So I would expect to see him in the next couple of weeks back from that injury. I just don't think Andy Reid wanted to push him week 1. It doesn't matter. You don't need him right now. It's first game of the season. We all know Kansas City doesn't really turn it up until playoff time. So that's going to be a heck of a game, but I'm going Chiefs to win against the Ravens on Thursday Night Football. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have a field day against this Ravens defense. And we're going to see right away how good Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, and Juju Smith-Schuster are as a core. And then you got Marquise Brown coming back. So I really think this is one of the best all-around receiving cores Patrick Mahomes has had. It's a good receiving core. And we'll talk about the Chiefs in a little bit, but let's move on to JB's picks, courtesy of Hard Rock Bets, the only betting app you can actually use in the state of Florida. I really still can't believe it every time I say that. But I'm going to go the Bears to win the NFC North. That is my pick this week. They have the 27th hardest schedule, according to Sharp Football Analysis. Key games I kind of circled on their calendar. They play at Houston, at the Colts, versus the Rams, versus the Jaguars, versus the Packers, at Lions, at 49ers, and then they got the Lions and Packers. Those are the key games I circled. It's a winnable schedule. I see a world where the Bears can win 11, 12 games. Now, I know what people are going to be thinking. What about the Lions, man? The Lions, they made it to the NFC Championship last year. And I go, okay, I hear you. But the Bears, by far, made the most improvements to their roster out of any team in football. They signed DJ Moore to an extension, actually, so they got him wrapped up. They got Keenan Allen. They drafted Roma Dunze. They signed Gerald Everett, and then they got Cole Kmet still. They got DeAndre Swift. I know a couple Lions fans are going to be like, man, DeAndre Swift ain't that good. Like, he can't, find the hole through the offensive line. He can't read it. That's fine, but he is a fast, dynamic back. If he's healthy, he is good for this team. And then I like this Bears defense. I mean, I'm a fan of this team. And Caleb Williams being the team captain as a rookie tells me everything I need to know. This is the first rookie captain Coach Eberflus has had in his 16 years in the NFL. And the question marks with Caleb were, can he lead a locker room? Can he be a team player? And can he not be a distraction? And it seems like he's not. So I think this just helps that football team even more. And even the Bears GM, Ryan Poles, said this. He goes, Caleb is not being forceful with the leadership. It comes naturally to him. So I think that's a good sign. And Caleb has shown flashes of what he can do. He is Patrick Mahomes 2.0. When you watch this guy, he is making the same plays that Mahomes does. And that's a game changer. That's a game changer. And, the Bears are the Bears. I get it. But when you have a quarterback like this, it's hard not to believe that team cannot be good, especially with all the weapons that he has at his disposal. No rookie quarterback in NFL history has ever had this many weapons. It's not even close. It's not even close. I mean, he's got 2 all-pro caliber receivers, and then Roma Dunze, who has lots of potential. Lots of potential. So I'm going the Bears to win the NFC North. And I know it might seem crazy, but I mean, the Bears, they weren't even that bad last year. They won 7 games. 7 games. I think they can turn the page. Because everyone knows the Vikings are going to be the worst team in that division. Packers, Lions, Bears. I think those 3 teams can easily make the playoffs. Easily make the playoffs. And the Bears last year had the second best rushing defense in the NFL and the 11th best passing defense. So, I mean, I expect the Bears to maintain what they did on the defensive side of the ball or be better. I expect that. And the offense is going to improve. The Bears ranked 20th in the NFL in total offense last year. That's definitely going to go up. There's no way that can be worse. There's no way that can be worse. I mean, picking up the guys I just mentioned, and I just think Caleb being the captain is a big deal. It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. And Caleb Williams is believed to be the first season-long captain as a rookie since they started assigning the position in 2007 for the Chicago Bears organization. Even Justin Fields wasn't a captain his rookie season. And Caleb comes in with the distractions, his dad in his ear, his dad saying, hey, he wants ownership in an NFL team. He won't play for a trash team. He won't play for the Cardinals, yada, yada, yada. This man has a good attitude. And if you watch this Hard Knocks, for some reason, the culture seems to have shifted all the way from Ryan Poles, the GM, and all the way down to Caleb Williams. That's a big deal. That's huge momentum going into the season. They also went undefeated in the preseason. So, I mean, I don't really know if that's a huge deal. But, I mean, I would say this. There's no way the Bears are going to be worse than they were last year. There's no way. And even if they don't win the division, I still think they're a 10-win team. Their ceiling is winning the division. Now, I'm saying the Bears are going to win the NFC North, but I'm not saying the Bears are going to win a playoff game. I'm not saying the Bears are going to go to the Super Bowl. I know better than that. And I heard Nick Wright say the Bears are going to go to the Super Bowl. That is not going to happen. I truly believe that the Lions are going to have a slow regular season. They're going to have a hard time picking it up. I think they're going to sneak into the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl. I think the Bears are going to have a great regular season, but the inexperience of Caleb Williams in playoff football will catch up to them eventually. That's all I'm trying to say. The Bears are winning the NFC North, but I'm not saying they're going to win a playoff game or make it to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying those two things. I can't say those two things. So that's my pick. That's my pick of the week. I just also like going back to Caleb a little bit. I mean, he's a leader. He's confident. And we talk about rookie quarterbacks having outstanding seasons. I think Caleb Williams can have an outstanding rookie season. Just like CJ Stroud, just like RG3, Andrew Luck, Russell Wilson, Cam Newton. We've seen rookie quarterbacks come in and contribute right away. And I think this is a guy who can do that. Like in the preseason, he seems to be able to read the field very well. Now, I know it's against backups, but that's a great sign because Justin Fields could not do that at all. It was night and day how different those two guys looked. It was. And even Justin Herbert in his rookie season. And Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott was a 4th-round pick. Came in, made the playoffs, number 1 seed his first year, lost the Packers. They didn't win a playoff game, but he got there. They were one of the best teams in football. Like on paper, this Bears offense is the best in the NFL. It is. So we'll move on to more division winners, but I just wanted to lay out the NFC North for you and give you my reasons on why I think the Bears are going to win. Because I'm not just saying the Bears are going to win for no reason. I have logic behind this. And I think the culture has shifted so much because last year, I believe the culture was just so bad. They were so used to losing that it got normal for them. Then when you bring a new guy under center, you can change the culture. And Ryan Poles has changed the culture as a general manager. That's rare. From top to bottom, the culture is different. And it feels different for the Chicago Bears this season. And normally I wouldn't say the Bears are good. But, you know, it is what it is. But let's move on to more division winners. So let's start with the NFC East. So the NFC East, I got the Philadelphia Eagles. They have the 24th hardest schedule, so they have a pretty friendly schedule. Their first game is against the Packers in Brazil, and it's going to be like 90 degrees there. So I think the Eagles might struggle in that game, and I'm not sure because I think the Eagles can win this division. But the issues with Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, them not being able to be in the same room together is nuts. Like, if that doesn't scream out disaster, I don't know what does. Because I'm picking this team to win the division purely off talent. Because they have a good team. They do. They just got Saquon Barkley in the offseason. They drafted DeJean Cooper, who's a fantastic player. Quavion Mitchell. Now, Bradbury just got hurt. He's out for like 6 to 8 weeks, and they just gave him a new contract. But they have talent. And Johnny Wilson's also coming back from his concussion from Florida State. He's a beast. Which, by the way, I don't even know how this man fell to the 6th round and the Cowboys didn't go and snag this guy. Like, I was blown away by that. I was like, the Cowboys needed a receiver, and we let Johnny Wilson, who's a 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", whatever you want to call it. He's a big dude. He's a big boy. He can make a difference. And the Cowboys just said, no, we don't need receivers. Yes, we do. But I think the Eagles last year, because the Cowboys beat them and then they just collapsed. Like, I've never seen a collapse like that. And then they got destroyed against the Bucs, which was a not competitive playoff game at all. So I think the Eagles, they have some questions they need to answer week 1, because can Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts get along? Will Jalen Hurts listen to Nick Sirianni? And with Kellen Moore there, what does that really look like? Because I've seen Kellen Moore as a Cowboys offensive coordinator, a Chargers offensive coordinator, and now we'll see him on the Eagles. And I think Jalen Hurts, to his credit, has had too many coordinators. He's had 5 coordinators since he's been in Philly. I mean, that's nuts. That's not consistent. What do you expect to happen? So I think Kellen Moore can maybe take some of the pressure off of Sirianni and Hurts and make that tension kind of not go away, but not be as present as it could be. So it's going to be an interesting season for the Eagles. I really do think they have the talent to win a Super Bowl. They're the one team that can really beat San Francisco in the NFC. I'm picking them to win the division, but there's still a lot of question marks with this team. There are. They have to answer them. Next is the NFC South. The NFC South, I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons. My first reason I'm picking the Atlanta Falcons is they have the easiest schedule in the NFL. But their first 3 games are tough. We're going to see early what the Falcons are really made of. So they start with Pittsburgh. They've got the Eagles at Philly, and then they play the Chiefs. Those are their first 3 games. So in those first 3 games, we're going to see if the Falcons are actually a Super Bowl contender or not. That's what we're going to see. So I'm not going to say the Falcons aren't going to, make a deep run in the playoffs. They could. And there's a lot of things about the Falcons I like. I like the Falcons. They have depth. If Kirk Cousins gets hurt, there's no panic button, I feel like, with that. Because they drafted Michael Penix Jr., who is ready to play football. I don't care what you say about Michael Penix. He is ready to go. He's an NFL-ready quarterback. Then they picked up Justin Simmons, Matthew Judon. Falcons haven't had a pass rush. They've been like the worst team in sack percentage in the last 6 years. It's been a minute since they've had a good pass. They had a good pass rush. The last double-digit pass rusher they had was Vic Beasley, and that was nearly a decade ago. So I would say the Falcons made the right moves that they had to have to get to where they want to be, which is competing for division title and then possibly knocking on the door for an NFC title appearance. And even if Kirk Cousins gets hurt, I don't see this team taking a drastic drop. That's the thing. And Bijan Robinson, fantastic player. He was 10th in the NFL last season in scrimmage yards. They have Drake London. Kyle Pitts. I gave Kyle Pitts a pass his last 2 years with the Falcons because he didn't have a quarterback. He was getting the ball thrown to him by Desmond Ridder, who is now barely on an NFL roster. He got cut by the Cardinals. I don't even know where that guy is now. But you're also bringing in a new head coach, Raheem Morris. You know, we'll see what the difference is with him as the head coach. But this team has the ability to win. We know Raheem Morris is a defensive-minded head coach. So defense is going to be very, very important. And I like A.J. Terrell. I like Jesse Bates. That's a good secondary with Justin Simmons. I would hate throwing against that. I want to see how that secondary looks and how this pass rush looks. Because if the Falcons can show they have potential, they're straight. They can do this. So I'm picking them to win the NFC South. NFC West, I'm going San Francisco 49ers. All right, guys, we got to interrupt this pod for a quick moment. We have breaking news. Trent Williams ends holdout, reaches an $82.66 million deal. It says here the 49ers and Williams have agreed to a restructured 3-year, $82.6 million deal that includes $48 million at signing and a $25.69 million signing bonus, according to his agency. Ending their prolonged contract dispute that's been literally going on. I literally was talking about in this podcast how he isn't going to show up and they're going to be out with one of the best offensive linemen, if not the best, for the first game of the season against the Jets. So Trent Williams, he is signed. The 36-year-old got paid. His holdout was worth it. Now let's get back to the pod. I know that's an easy pick. They got the 16th ranked schedule in the NFL. They play the Jets on Monday Night Football, which I'm going 49ers to win that game. It's at home. I don't trust Aaron Rodgers yet, so I need to see what he looks like. But they paid Brandon Ayuk finally. Finally. They gave him 4-year, $120 million deal. The crazy part, they had trades with Cleveland and Pittsburgh almost sealed. Almost done. They almost had him finished. And the Patriots were willing to pay Ayuk $32 million per year, according to Sports Illustrated, which is more than he ended up getting with the Niners. But for the Niners and Niners fans, you guys have got to be happy with Brandon Ayuk staying, because he's one of the best receivers in the NFL when healthy. And he showed that in the playoffs last year, how valuable he can really be. I mean, that catch he had against the Lions, stop. That was nuts. Nuts. Like, that's not human. Not human. But the Niners, I just don't think there's any real competition in that division. I don't think anyone outside of San Francisco is complete enough besides Seattle that can really give them a test. Because Seattle has a decent defense and a decent offense, but they got new coaching. So there's a lot of question marks there. The Rams don't really have a great defense. The Cardinals don't have a great defense. Cardinals and Rams have good offenses, but the defenses are a huge question mark. Huge question mark. So I'm not really sold on these other teams in the division. So I'm picking 49ers to win that. AFC East. Let's get into the AFC. I'm picking the Dolphins to win this division. The Bills getting a little weaker. I think that's going to help the Dolphins a little bit. The Jets, I think, could win the division, but they're cursed. They're the Jets. They're the Jets. There's no way that the Jets can be good. I mean, they just are a cursed franchise. I just don't see it. I can't see it. When Aaron Rodgers had 3 plays, tore his Achilles, that's a bad look. And that's the curse that the Jets have for some apparent reason. I don't know why. But if the Jets can stay healthy, or Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy, they have a chance. But the Dolphins are the best team in that division right now. I think having Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle come back from injury and practicing, that's good. Tua getting that extension, he's going to be morally good. He's going to be in a great mindset. He's not going to be complaining. And then they extended Mike McDaniel. And I think Mike McDaniel and Tua are the perfect complement for each other. Now, whether they can win playoff games together, that's a different conversation. But having those guys happy makes this season a lot easier. Because if you didn't extend Tua, maybe Tua has an excuse for why he's playing bad. Now there's no excuse. If the Dolphins don't figure out how to seal the deal when they can get it done, win the division because they had it, and then they let the Bills take it away from them, or can they prove they can win in cold weather? I don't know if they can do any of those things, but I believe in the talent that this team has. Now, I will say losing Christian Wilkins is a big loss, but you still got Jalen Ramsey, and then they picked up Calais Campbell, who is older, but he's still a very decent pass rusher. And then Bradley Chubb, he's always injured. We'll see if he can even get on the field. I mean, my Lord. But Odell, he's going to miss 4 games at least. He's going to start on the PUP list. But I'm just telling you, like, the Dolphins, they got happy campers in there. I mean, Tua Tagovailoa got the largest contract in Dolphins history. 4 years, $212 million. I mean, that is some bread. That's some serious bread. I wish I had that. But let's move on to the AFC North. We're almost wrapping up these division picks here. Thanks for sticking around with me. If you guys want to listen to more episodes like this, hit the subscribe button, like the video, hit the notification bell as well. Because when you guys don't hit that notification bell, I don't know. You guys have no idea when I'm posting. So you guys have to hit that. And then comment what your predictions are division-wise, who's going to win Thursday, who's going to win the Super Bowl, things like that, which we're getting to my Super Bowl pick very, very soon here. So AFC North. Now, I think the AFC North is the toughest division in the National Football League, first of all. I'll put that out there. I'll say the Ravens are going to win that division. They do have the 9th hardest schedule in the NFL. I mean, I'm just looking at the key games. I mean, at Kansas City, at Dallas, at Bengals, at Browns, at Texans. Then they play the Eagles, Bills at home. That's a tough schedule. That's a very tough schedule. And they added Derrick Henry. I don't know if the Ravens have enough. I feel like if Lamar can just be himself, then maybe they can make a run and go to the Super Bowl. But I'm not going to say anything too crazy about the Ravens besides they can win their division, because I just don't know what their receivers are going to look like. I mean, they do have Zay Flowers. They got Nelson Aguilar and things like that. But I'm not really confident in what this team can do for some reason. I know they have a good team, and they're probably going to be the best team in that division. But for some reason, when it comes playoff time, if Lamar Jackson just tries to be someone he's not and tries to throw the football, it's not going to be a good day. It won't. So I'm picking the Ravens, but I have question marks with them because Lamar Jackson has 2 MVPs. And last year, honestly, I don't think he should have won it. I think it should either have been Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, one of those 2 guys, or even Christian McCaffrey. I think he could have threw him in there as too. So, but this is the year that John Harbaugh needs to prove that he can take this team to a Super Bowl and that they're actually good enough. Like, I feel like this could be John Harbaugh's last season as a Baltimore Ravens head coach if he doesn't at least get to the Super Bowl. If they don't take that next step. If they lose in the wild card divisional, you know, that's going to blow things up quick, and the chatter is going to start going. It's going to start going. Next division, AFC South. The Texans, I'm taking the Texans to win. Outside of the Bears, the Texans were the most improved team in football this year, or are the most improved team in football this year. They added Stephon Diggs. They have Cam Akers now, and they have Joe Mixon at running back. So they got depth there. Tank Dell and Nico Collins are elite receivers. Then you got Dalton Schultz at tight end. CJ Stroud had one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen. He literally had the most passing yards for a rookie quarterback in a single game last year. So He can do it. He is accurate. He can throw the football. He makes plays for others. He makes his team better. That's what you want to see out of CJ Stroud in his second year. Now, will he have that sophomore slump? That I don't really know. Because sometimes the sophomore slump does appear. And there's nothing you can really do about it. But I don't see that. I see the Texans making it to the AFC Championship. I think the Texans making it to the Super Bowl is their ceiling. But their floor is losing in the divisional, in my opinion. I think this team is that good. Now, the problem is, I think their pass rushing is a concern to me. And Will Anderson Jr., can he stay healthy? He's been dealing with an ankle injury all camp. He's on track to play in week 1, but can he be that guy and stay consistently healthy? He has to be if this Texans team wants to go anywhere. I mean, I feel like this Texas team has to be good defensively for them to do anything in this AFC, because this is a stacked AFC. Stacked. I mean, there are a lot of good teams that could really make some noise. And even in their division. I mean, I think the AFC South is one of the toughest divisions in football, too. I mean, I would probably go AFC North, AFC South is the 2 toughest divisions in football. Because, I mean, the AFC South, you got Jacksonville, you got the Titans who improved, and you've got the Colts who still have a decent squad. So it's not going to be easy. And they play the Colts week 1, who do have DeForest Buckner on that defensive side of the ball. So that's going to be a handful for that offensive line to deal with. That'll be a tough game for week 1 for the Texans against the Colts. I do think that'll be a tough game. It will be a tough game. But let's move on to the AFC West, the Kansas City Chiefs. And this is my Super Bowl pick as well. The Kansas City Chiefs will be the first team in NFL history to three-peat. I seriously don't see any team beating them. Patrick Mahomes, he's too good. He's going to get his 4th ring. And when he does, this GOAT conversation is going to be wide open. It's going to be wide open because he would have had done something that Tom Brady had never done. Now, if Brady won the Super Bowl when they were going for the undefeated season, then I wouldn't be saying that. But since Mahomes is doing something that Brady never did, I would say that conversation's wide open if he wins this year. That just shows how good he really is. And they made some huge pickups to their offense. I mean, I really do like this Chiefs team. This Chiefs offense is ready to roll. And it's scary. It's scary, man. Trust me, I don't like the Chiefs just as much as anybody. I hate the new Patriots, whatever. But the reality is they got the best player in football, and I'm not betting against him anymore. I made the mistake of picking every single game against him in the playoffs last year. And I'm not doing that again. The Chiefs are running it back. They're going three-peat mode. That is how the season's going to end, whether people like it or not. It's a basic take, but I feel like it's going to happen. Once again, you can't ignore the fact that this guy is just amazingly talented. I mean, he does things with the football that no quarterback can do. Plain and simple. He's smart. He knows where receivers are going to be. He understands how to make adjustments on the line of scrimmage. And he's a great leader. Great leader. But that was our NFC, or not our NFC, our divisional picks. Let's give that a round of applause here. Woo. Let me hold my breath for a second here. Let me hold my breath. Sorry. Laugh it up, guys. I know. I needed to catch my breath there. But before I let you guys go, I need you to subscribe. I need you to like, and I need you to comment and turn the notification bell on. And I'm going to let you guys comment what you think about my fantasy football team. So we're going to go over my fantasy football team right now. So to give you guys a little bit of context of what this league is. So there is salary cap. It is flex. You start 9 players. And it's hard. It's hard. The waiver wire is tonight when I'm recording this. I'm going for Justin Herbert in the waiver wire and Zach Ertz. So hopefully I get those guys because I can't start a lineup right now because this cap is just so ridiculous. I mean, if you look at this, I mean, I've got Jalen Hurts at $3.8 million, and the cap for 9 players, you can't go over $24.5 million. You either have to be right there or you have to be a little under. So basically, when I have all this, so I start Jalen Hurts, Derrick Henry, Kenneth Walker, CeeDee Lamb, Ayuk, Rashee Rice. I can't even start Brock Bowers, and I can't even start any of these guys unless it's like 8 million. So I'm like $4 million over the cap right now. So I'm kind of screwed. So it's not like a normal fantasy football league where you can just start the best team. That's not how this works. That's the thing that sucks about this because you have to actually put a lot of strategy in this. It's like being a real GM, essentially. It's like being a real GM. It's fun, but it stinks. And I finished dead last in this league the last 2 years. So I'm telling everybody in this league right now, if I don't win the title this year, I am going to have my spot in the league up for grabs because I cannot lose and be the worst team again. Cannot happen. And I want to win it because I feel like I always have bad luck with fantasy football. I mean, last year I had Aaron Rodgers and Justin Jefferson. That's bad luck immediately. And I'm looking at this roster. I'm like, who could possibly get hurt for me? I don't think anybody could, but let me know what you guys think because I just suck at fantasy football. I'm sorry. I really do. And then won the toilet bowl twice. I know. Okay, enough laughing. No more laughing at me. But this is my fantasy team here. Let me know what you guys would rate this. Would you rate it a 1 for being awful, or would you rate it a 10 for being the best team you've ever seen? I mean, I think Brandon Ayuk and CeeDee Lamb on the same team is filthy. And then I got Rashee Rice, Derrick Henry, Kenneth Walker, Jalen Hurts. If I can actually play him, but if I get Justin Herbert, I don't think that'd be a bad deal. But let me know who I should start a quarterback too. Should I start Justin Herbert or should I start Jalen Hurts? And this league that I've been in has been around for like, God, I mean, my dad's buddy started this league, so it's been around for like almost 30 years now, and they got a bunch of sons in there now. It's passing down generation to generation. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's like, so it's an $85 entry for this league. So I think the winner for this league gets like $500, which is actually a pretty good amount of money. And the winner has to pay for like, I think it's like some kind of drinks or whatever. And then the loser has to pay for all the food for the draft party. So I wasn't even at the draft party this year. And guess what? I had to pay $300 to a party I wasn't even at. That's the punishment if you finish in the toilet bowl, which I've done the last 2 years. So I'm done paying that money. I'm going to win. My team name is by the Samuel Jacksons. I think that's a very clever name, if you ask me. But, yeah, well, I think this is going to do it for this episode of the Take Podcast. I'm your host, Jackson Burleson, of course. Subscribe, like the video, comment what you guys think about the NFL season and my fantasy football draft. Hit the notification bell, or you're just not going to know when I'm posting. Plain and simple. And also, give me your Super Bowl picks down there in the comments as well. I'm really curious to see what you guys think about the Super Bowl and this NFL season. But let's give it a round of applause for today's episode. Hit the subscribe button. Like the video, comment. Also, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, things like that. Read my writing posts. I do post articles. I'm starting to get better at that when the NFL season comes around. So it's football. It is football. It's football. It's football season. And I will see you guys next week. Have a good one.
Talk to me, baby. Talk to me nice. I'm from another world, baby, yeah. Broadway paradise. They think I'm way too cold, cause I put my